The Marvel Rivals CC changes. Oh boy. All right. Well, I have a really strong opinion about this because I just think CC overall is just bad. There are a lot of as a quick summary, there are a lot of characters in this game who have CC that don't need it. Rivals created the problem. They can, they're trying to put a band-aid on it, whatever. So CC has been in this game since the beginning, right? So we've had a lot of characters that even from the beginning I thought like, wow, like this is not going to stay the way that it is, right? Like I always thought that like I remember my first impression of the Jeff Ultimate was like, oh man, like there's no counterplay. Like you get eaten and that's it. Like, but over time we learned how to play the game and it became less and less of a something that's insufferable in my opinion, if you know what I mean, right? But like there were other small CCs in the game, like Iron Fist fourth kick, which wasn't that big of a deal, and kind of like, it feeds into the hero fantasy of Iron Fist, like, oh, I hit somebody so hard they backed up a little bit, right? And little things like that kind of added to the just to the newness and the new experience of the game, So it was very interesting. It was fun, but over the year, there have been more and more characters that have had CC. More importantly, there have been more characters that already existed who didn't have as much CC that were retroactively made into just CC bots, right? Like we have Invisible Woman's entire kit. Her shield did not used to slow back then. Her ultimate didn't slow as much as it does now, right? Bucky's second slow. They gave him a second thing on his on his slow. Fuck, I forgot what it was called. But now he has 2 charges of those, and now it's on a lower cooldown. Phoenix's hit scan stun that also slows you. Like what? You can't give a hit scan a slow. That's stupid. Elsa's ult. What the fuck? Blade slow, Rogue, like Rogue's entire kit, like little by little, there have been so many more abilities in this game where if you're playing tank or you're playing practically any other role, almost any other character, honestly, you're gonna get hit by something. You're gonna get slowed. You're gonna get knocked back. You're gonna get pushed. You're gonna get pulled. You're gonna get whatever, right? And right now we're at the point where it just feels like slop. You press a button and you slow the tank. You fuck it. Iron Fist fourth kick. Groot third melee or whatever. It doesn't matter. Almost every hero has some type of unnecessary CC, and the fact that when they released this new CC change and they said that you need to get hit by 7 different types of crowd controls before the immunity triggers. I mean, that's absurd. Listen to that. 7 different crowd controls over a span of a couple seconds. Like that's just absurd. It's just ridiculous, right? And that when I saw that, I'm like, wow, there's so much CC in this game that you need to get hit by that many for it to have an effect on you. Like that's insane. And instead, it feels like instead of avoiding the iceberg, we're patching a hole in the Titanic. Like what the issue is, and you're not dealing with it. And the solution, in my opinion, from the beginning was always for there to be CC removal instead of resistance or mitigation, right? And honestly, I don't even think we were asking for CC immunity, right? Like that whole concept of like, okay, you're gonna get hit by this many, and then you don't get affected by CC at all. Like no, I wasn't exactly asking for that, but like, my gosh, there wouldn't be a need for that if Rivals was a little bit more restrictive on how much CC they added to the game, because this problem doesn't exist in Overwatch. In Overwatch they have a completely different system, but like cooldowns mean a lot more, neutral's a lot more valuable, and that's why for characters that do have 1 or 2 pieces of CC in their kit, it is very important for them to use it correctly. You can't just spam it on the tank over and over and over and over again and sorry. And then just like just for slot purposes, pretty much. So what are examples of good, or not even good CC, but like kits that have CC that kind of define the character, that's not unnecessary? And I want to give 3 examples: Rogue, Angela, and Wolf. All right. So Rogue's cooldowns are super long. They're super long, and they kind of have to be, right? Because all 3 of her buttons are CC, right? She can pull you in, she can knock you up, and she can throw you onto the ground and steal your abilities. And imagine, if she was doing that every 5 seconds, 6 seconds, every however long, it would be overbearing. Now the cooldowns were way long at the beginning, and so they did need a little bit of a buff at some point. But I think right now she's at a good spot where. Wow, I completely missed that rock. Like I'm so bad. But right now, I feel like she's at a good spot where it's not overbearing. Yes, it is annoying to get hit by Rogue's abilities, constantly. But she's in an okay spot. The cooldown's at a decent length, and that's kind of what you kind of have to, right? When you have the CC that is attached to Rogue's kit is kind of the way that CC should work in this entire game, where you don't have it all the time. It's on really long cooldowns, and it's a commitment, right? She's a melee hero, so if she's gonna CC you, she is gonna be weak to something else from a distance, right? Like there is counterplay to Rogue. She's counterable. Angela, same thing. She's counterable. She has very clear counters. She doesn't completely rely on just kidnapping the tank and putting. I mean, yes, of course, that one good kidnap could win you a game. But she can brawl a little bit. She has a bit of a shield. She can do decent damage. She doesn't have a one shot, but she has pretty okay damage. Wolf, counterable. All right, first of all, he's a DPS, right? So he doesn't need to have like the excessively long kit that a tank does, right? But if he misses his grab, it's counterable, it's punishable, and it's devastating. But if he hits the grab, then really high. Really high gratification, really high reward, right? These are all characters whose kits revolve around CC, but we're okay with it almost, right? Like it's not like yes, getting hit by Rogue and then by Angela and then by Wolf all in a row like sucks, right? But they're all very much counterable, and it's usually counterable by the same thing, by the same person, or the same skill, the same shot. So now. My problem is that there is a lot of other CCs in this game that do not. How do I say this? They are that don't define the character, right? Like for example, Daredevil has a slow when he throws his devil's chain, right? That's not exactly necessary for the character to work. He already has a ton of mobility, so slowing the person, it's inconvenient to the person getting hit. And most of the time, like the slow, if you're within melee distance, who cares if you're slow, right? Like you might run away once or twice, but he's gonna catch up to you. He has other mobility cooldowns, right? So removing the slow from Daredevil's chain throw would not destroy the hero identity. He would still be Daredevil, right? Invis's shield, right? If you remove the slow from Invis's shield, she's still Invis. She's still Invisible Woman. Like, she's still gonna be able to do all the Invis bullshit nonsense that pretty much every single button is. You should push and pull use and all this other shit, right? Iron Fist fourth kick. Okay, maybe not so much with Iron Fist because he's not exactly the strongest character in the game, but like, it is annoying that like if he just so happens to kick you at the perfect time, that can cancel your ultimate. Like, it's nonsense, right? Phoenix is stunned slow. Like, what the hell? Phoenix can still be Phoenix if she didn't slow you when she stunned you, right? Like, there's so many abilities. And now I want to really address Hulk, because Hulk's CC, because of these changes, being able to knock people back over and over and over again, and then becoming immune. I get that it is a skill shot, 100%, but it's only fun for Hulk. Getting hit by this, but getting chain CC'd and stunned and locked and everything, there's absolutely zero counterplay to that for about 6 seconds straight. Now, it doesn't happen very often, and again, I know it does require a ton of skill and a ton of practice, and Hulk players are really good for being able to do that. And that's okay. Like, I'm not arguing against that, but I'm sure that there are ways to make Hulk powerful without having to stun lock you. I think the best example that I can give, because of how similar it is Winston juggle versus Hulk juggle. Hulk, if he jumps on it, he can throw you up in the air and then he can jump and then stun lock you. That's the part that I think is bullshit, right? Because sure, you can get stunned and you can get knocked back, but if you can still shoot, I think it's still fair, right? Like that, it allows for counterplay. But and that's, but when he stuns you, then all the counterplay is just completely removed at that point, right? Like why? Like there's literally no point, right? Like you might as well put your controller down, because he's gonna stun lock you, he's gonna exile you, he's gonna throw you up in the air, then he's gonna grab you, and then jump you, and then he's gonna exile you again and throw you up in the it doesn't, like, there is absolutely zero counterplay to that, so it just kind of makes it pointless for everybody but the Hulk. Like, that can be removed, right? We could just have him push and push and push without having to stun lock you, and him still be a decent character, especially with all the other buffs they've been giving him. Like, thank goodness they haven't been buffing his CC, but they're putting power in different parts of his kits, and that's the direction that I feel that they should be going. A stupid example was Elsa Ultimate. I get that it's a grab and it's a displacement, but it should not be a stun lock where you can't shoot, right? Like, imagine if you got grabbed by Elsa ult and you didn't get stun locked, right? Like, you could actually shoot. Then Elsa would have to, think a little bit more when she's, pulling somebody in, right? Because imagine if you try and pull a Punisher or something like that, and now you're bringing an ulting Punisher towards you, right? Like, you have to actually think and not just mindlessly like, Imbis will, yeah, I'm gonna ult there and now I'm gonna take him out, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid, right? So, I think that CC that removes counterplay from the game needs to be removed from the game. Like, it's just stupid. Like, why make it? It's just these abilities just shouldn't exist. So why is the system bad? Why is the current system bad? Well, I don't think that it should have been a blanket change for all heroes, because some heroes need to be counterable. For example, Venom, right? Like, if you aren't able to CC a Venom or to pull a Venom or whatever as he's like trying to complete his cycle, he's unkillable. Venom's weakness is crowd control. And so, it's when you give a blanket protection like this to everybody, you remove counterplay. And when there's no counterplay, well, you're eventually going to get characters that are just going to abuse the system and just completely dominate, right? And I think tanks in particular need special attention, right? Because they're the ones getting hit by the CC abilities the most, and they're the ones who are most affected. Right, like, it's just constantly being slowed. Like, if you look at this game, this fucking Rogue, she's using all of her displacement cooldowns on me and only me. Now, I get it. I mean, that's my job as a tank, right? It's good that she's using them on me and not everybody else, but it's so annoying. She's not killing me, right? But I'm just constantly, like, just getting pushed and pulled and grabbed and just bunch of fucking nonsense, right? And it's just annoying. It's just annoying. I know that it can eventually end up in the kill, but it's just bad. So the way that it's currently implemented, I think probably would work for characters like Magneto, for characters like Strange, possibly even Groot. And the reason I say those tanks in particular is because they're tanks that don't have mobility, right? So being displaced is a really big deal. Now, I know Strange does have his one fly, right? So it's not like he's completely dead when that happens. And you could even lump characters in there like Emma Frost whenever she doesn't have her diamond form on her 15-second cooldown, right? So, I mean, because if you CC Venom, like, yes, Venom, like I said, Venom's weakness is CC, right? So him being able to deal with it, like, is a skill shot, right? So, but characters like Magneto, right? If I get pulled in by Bucky or whatever, I probably should have some CC resistance, because it's making me better in a position in which I was already bad, right? My goal is not to make characters who are good better, right? Better in areas that they are already good at. It would be like giving Black Panther a second dash, right? Like a second dash, without hitting his ability, right? Like it's like you're giving him another dash, which was what he is already good at. He's already good at dashing into people, right? Like, so those are the kinds of changes I kind of wanted to emphasize. So what do we do now? What do we do now that we're here? I think first and foremost, you need to stop the bleeding. So that means you need to stop releasing characters that have unnecessary slows, unnecessary knockbacks, debuffs, etc., right? Like team-ups with stupid abilities. That's number one. Stop the bleeding. Stop, like, whatever character comes out, release them without CC and watch if their character like is actually able to perform. I can almost guarantee you that the answer is yes. They're gonna, because for like I told you, Daredevil's slow, Invis slow. Like they don't need these abilities in order to function. The only thing it actually does is make the tank player miserable, specifically the tank most of the time. And next up, they need to take the L and remove the system, because it's not working the way that they intended it. I think it just needs to be completely removed at this point and rethought and reworked and everything. And so right now, take it out. I think it does too much harm in the game, because I was also playing another game where we were playing against a Spider-Man who got hit by so much CC he triggered the stun immunity, and that he lived. He lived because of that. Again, we're making the Spider-Man better at what he's already good at. Like, and his one weakness being crowd control, we just give him immunity. Like, it's just stupid. Now, next is actually, once they've stopped the bleeding, you need to start removing CC from kits and see how the heroes perform. For example, Bucky, right? Taking away his ground. Now, I kind of didn't have too big of a problem with his ground, because it was a melee. It was a melee attack, right? So that means that there was inherent risk for the Bucky to actually use the ability and to ground you, right? Plus, it was like a skill shot, right? Like you didn't just have to throw it on the tank 24/7. Like, imagine if you saw Bucky uppercutting tanks on the front line all the time, you know? Like it would be horrible, right? You'd be throwing. So you need to start taking away CC. So that includes, honestly, man, maybe taking away one of Bucky's like his throws, because like that's in my opinion a slow slop, because he just throws it, doesn't even think about it. He's just damage, tank, boom, I'm not gonna miss, but slow. Now he's slow, and like it offers no inherent benefit to the Bucky very often, but it's just misery for the tank, right? And they also need to they need an overall reassessment of their philosophy on CC, because it just feels like they're adding it and not really thinking about the consequences of like how much benefit this actually brings versus how much detriment it brings to the person receiving it, right? And one more thing, the way that they classify CC in this game is very weird, because they don't classify CC as one thing. For example, they don't say that a displacement is just a displacement. No, for them, a displacement also needs to be a stun for some reason, right? So like with Invis, like when you pull, like for some reason, no, not Invis, Magneto, when he uses his knockback, there's no reason that also needs to be a stun. It would be just fine if it were just a knockback, right? That has no business canceling ultimates. It's not fun. You can't make it both. Right? Either you make it a displacement or you make it a stun, but you can't do both. It has to be one or the other. And lastly, we do not need CC immunity. We need debuff resistance, right? So that's not just knockbacks, that's not just slows, that's not, you know, all this other nonsense. That means like, you know, like going purple, right? Getting blinded, damage increase, you know, whatever. Damage vulnerability, I think that was the word I was looking for. We need resistance to those, but not complete immunity. In my opinion, I think we need a system where certain tanks develop, okay, maybe the first hit lands at 100% potency, the second hit at 90%, the third hit at 60%, the fourth hit at like 20%, and it just goes. That way, and it needs to hold, right? So that any new effect doesn't just like, you know, stack and you're just constantly slowed, right? That would make it so that, okay, when you're Magneto, you're fighting on the front line. If Invis, you know, decides to slow you, and then Bucky decides to slow you, and then fucking Strange has his pull, and then he slows you, and then by the time that happens, Invis has her pull again, and then the effects of that just becomes lower and lower. Again, I'm not exactly asking for CC immunity. But the way that they implemented it was just wrong, right? It just takes too many instances of CC for it to actually trigger and for it to actually matter, right? Like, you're not, like, I cannot believe that they said, okay, we're gonna leave CC the way it is for the first 7 instances or 6 instances of it, and you're not really going to interact with the system for, you know, very often. Like, it's just dumb. It's just stupid. So, yeah, remove the system. Look at tanks on a tank-by-tank basis. You need to determine, like, what weaknesses the tanks have and not make them uncounterable, right? We don't want to end up with Invis, right? Where she's just better than most DPS in the game, right? Where there was actually no point in playing anything but Invis for a good chunk of time. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the CC changes. I'm sure everybody has a different opinion. This is a really hot topic. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'm actually probably going to be playing more Overwatch this season because it just feels better. They actually figured out CC correctly. Overwatch is not one of those games where I'm constantly complaining about, like, oh, like, I get pushed and pulled and grabbed and all this other nonsense all the time. Like, no, if I get grabbed by one thing or if Rein pins me, that's a big risk to me, and that's a big risk to the Rein. Because if I'm out of position in a point where the Rein can actually pin me, that's my fault. But the Rein, he's physically pinning me wherever I go. He goes. So if he ends up 70 feet in their back line, then he's probably gonna explode and die, right? Or he can get stunned out of it, or he can get pulled, or whatever. I can get saved, right? There's counterplay to it, and that's what I want. I just want more agency to the player and less just CC slop. Please. So yeah, anyways, if y'all have any more thoughts about this very controversial topic, feel free to make yourself feel fucking intelligent in the comments section and write me a paragraph as to why I'm right or to why I'm wrong. Like, let's all be internet sleuths together and just let's make Rivals the best game we possibly can. All right, have a good one, y'all.